Now the first question people ask about the X35 coils is why have XP brought out a new coil so soon after the release of the HF coils? Well, they're not in competition with the HF coils, they're totally different. The HF coils have been designed for finding small targets in highly mineralised ground. These X35 coils are more of an all-terrain coil. They run a very low frequency up to a mid frequency. At the moment they're an accessory coil, but at the end of September they will be sold with every new deus. The X35 coil has got 5 main frequencies, starting at 3.7 kHz and going up to 28 kHz, and each frequency has got 7 offsets, so that makes 35 frequencies in total. The battery life is slightly better on the X35 coil, and they still use the original 630 mAh batteries. Now on the X35 coils, using a low frequency, 3.7 to 4.4 kHz, you'll notice you've got the boost feature in the menu. Now the boost feature may give you a bit of extra depth providing soil conditions allow, and they're ideal for finding the bigger, deeper targets. The boost feature is accessed by going to Sensitivity, Expert, and you'll see there boost on or off. But bear in mind that using the boost feature may drain your battery a little bit quicker. I've been using the X35 coils for a little while now, and what have I found? Well, compared to the original black coils, I think they're a little bit more stable. You can push the sensitivity a little bit higher without them getting out of shape. And now we get on to the big question everyone asks. How deep do they go? Well, as you all know, depth is normally determined by soil conditions and the size of the target. So there's no real answer to that question. However, I've got an interesting test I'd like to show you. Now what I didn't want to do here was dig a hole and throw the coin in the bottom of it and show you how deep it is. We're all wise to that, and we all know that is not a fair test because the machine picks up the hole and so on. What I wanted to conduct was a real life test underneath undisturbed ground. So what we've done, we've faced off the bank and we've burrowed 2 holes in the face of the bank. And this is why we're cold, wet and covered in mud. The hole number 1 is 14 inches deep, which is about 34 centimetres. Hole number 2 is 17 inches deep, which is about 43 centimetres. We've got 2 targets here. We've got a Tudor spoon and a copper coin, which is about 30 millimetres in diameter. What I'm going to do is put the copper coin into hole number 1 and see if we can get a good response from the X35 13x11 coil. Now the program we're using is the deep program. The only changes I'm making is to the frequency. I'm putting it onto 4 kHz. But before I carry on with the test, I just need to pass the coil over the top of the ground and show you there's no targets in the hole. While I'm talking about ground, this ground is quite mineralised. It's showing 3 to 4 bars on a mineralisation scale, so it's quite difficult. If you carry out this test, you may get more depth or less depth depending on your soil and surrounding contamination. So here we go, let's get on with the test, pass the coil over the top just to show you there's nothing there. Slight ticking, but that's the mineralisation. Let's put target number 1 into the hole number 1. It's getting it quite nicely actually. So perhaps we should have dug the holes a little bit deeper. Let's raise the coil, perhaps 1-2 inches above the ground. Now on with the second test, the spoon in the hole at 17 inches. we go. That's a lot stronger, that's a good target. Raising the coil. Perhaps 2 inches above it. Let's go into boost mode and see if that makes any difference. We're in boost mode now, 4 kilohertz. Definitely makes a difference. 4 inches above the ground, would you say? Excellent. What I want to do now is put the older black coil on and see what results we get. So on with the standard black coil. Nothing's changed. Still using the deep program in 4 kilohertz. We're going over the coin this time. Let's see what we get. Still getting it, but we're losing it about 1 inch off the ground. That's a good test, I enjoyed that. In order to use the X35 coils, you need to download the latest software update from the XP website. At the moment we're on version 5.1. Now as you're updating the software, you'll notice that the high frequency coils and the X35 coils don't show up on the update. The only coils that show up on the update are the original black coils, and they work perfectly fine with version 5.1. The version 5.1 update offers the boost mode, which we've already talked about, and an expert menu for WS4 and WS5 headphone users. All the information regarding the menu settings is on the XP website. Oh, this ground is so solid. Oh, dropped it. Oh wow, that's a hammered coin. Oh, you idiot, I've just caught it with a spade, look. Oh no. But there you go. What a fantastic piece of luck. Happiness and disappointment all rolled into one.